Hey, baby, how you doing? It's been a long time, you know? Remember the night?
What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your diva and knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha Cafe de Paris, where you know I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to all of my subscribers. Again, I appreciate a lot of y'all for rocking out with me since I started this journey, and you're still subscribed to my channel. Again, I appreciate you guys and you ladies for still support me. Those of you who have just recently subscribed, I welcome you to Mocha's Cafe de Paris family. And if this is your first time viewing my content ever and you like what you hear today, please make sure you subscribe and you hit that like button. Even if you don't like today's content, you could thumb it down, whatever you choose to do, just as long as I know that you are viewing. That's great enough for me. So anyway, again, I want to appreciate each and every one of y'all for still rocking with me while I'm part of the video. I've always wanted to ask you, how often do you take lattes and herbal coffees? When you say take, do you mean how often I drink those type of things, or I'm just trying to figure out if I'm on the same page with your question. But yes, I'm doing another quick video, another topic, because as you guys and you ladies know, I am a correctional officer now. So my time is very limited, which is why y'all don't see me uploading a lot. I have to go into work today. I got to pull a 12-hour today. So I have to do this content early. That way I can get off of here at a certain time and get ready for work. Because in my line of work, you really have to mentally have your head on straight because you're dealing with inmates. What's up, Poetic? How you doing, boo? So good to see you, sis. Um, and I have to do videos very randomly. I can't even plan to do videos anymore. I just got to just jump on and do it, and then I can't, do panels like I want, because sometimes when it comes to panels, we end up going over, because you have more than one person doing a panel together, and I can't afford that. I can't afford for time to go over because I got to get off of this thing at a certain time. But the staff is getting a little bit more expanding, so shortly will have more time off than what I usually would have, so that way I can go back into doing my panels and all of that with my ladies and stuff like that. So as of right now, it's just a lot that I'm doing, so I don't really have the time as of this moment. Been a while, stay grind. Appreciate you, Counselor Murray, for the donation. I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you for the $5 donation, Mr. Murray. Appreciate it so much. So but that being said, because again, I got to get off this damn thing at a certain time. I have to iron my uniform and make sure I be there on time and whatnot. So I'm gonna go into my topic with no further ado. I did content last night for those of you who missed it. I talked about being careful about looking for a man to secure the bag with. It's a lot that comes with the territory as far as looking for a man to secure the bag with. So women, if you want men because of money, or you want to choose a man solely based on his income, based on his salary, you have to be careful with that, because men who make a lot of money, it's a lot that comes with the territory, and it's always more than one way of looking at things. So if you specifically want to just target men because of how much money they make, you may want to do a little bit more research. So for those of you who didn't view it, I did it last night. I did content on it, so you can view it whenever you get a chance. So with no further ado, I'm going right into today's recipe, because like I said, I got to get off of this thing at a certain time. I'm talking about birthing better males, the man-child syndrome. Now that I am a correctional officer, I'm seeing a lot of grown men. I'm starting to notice, what's up, Spuds? I'm starting to notice in my line of work, I basically deal with the majority of the inmates I deal with, they are men, they are males. And I'm noticing there's a lot of young black males that are entering the correctional facility center. A lot of them are entering at the age of 17, because here in the state of Savannah, Georgia, you can be tried as an adult at the age of 17, meaning that if you murdered or you killed somebody at 15, 16 years old, 9 times out of 10, they're not just shipping you straight to juvenile anymore, where you can only do a year and some change. Basically, the Georgia has cracked down on that. They're not doing that anymore. You murder somebody, you rape somebody, you do any of those things at 14, 15 years old, basically, they're going to hold you in custody in juvenile within those 4 or 5 years, and then they're going to graduate you, they're going to promote you to the adult correctional facility, which is where I work at. So a lot of these young people now, they're not getting away with murder like they used to. You commit an adult crime, you're going to do the adult time. So I've been observing a lot since I worked in the facility. Like I said, for every wing, the way it works is that every officer is assigned to a certain wing. In the wing that I work in, I am over 70 grown men. I'm over 70 grown men at one time, and it's just one of me. And that's how many men I am over. The majority of officers are female officers. The majority of us are over men. Um, for instance, when I go in tonight, because I work night shift, I like night shift much better than the daytime, because by the time I go into work, I only have to deal with the inmates for like an hour and 30 minutes. And then after that, they lock down and they go to bed. So I like night shift much better. Throughout the day shift is more hectic, because you got to deal with the inmates for 6 hours. But the way it's set and the way it's designed, um, even though I have like 70 inmates, we have what's called a tier system. And the way the tier system works is that they split it in two. So basically, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm kind of slow, y'all. Forgive me with this math, because I don't know simple addition. Uh, so let me ask one of you guys out here. If it's 70 inmates and they split them in two, how much would that be? I don't feel like pulling out my damn calculator. It's too early for that. But that's the way the tier system works. We split them in half. So I actually don't deal with 70 inmates at one time. What happens is you have some inmates that it's like upstairs and downstairs. You have a certain amount of inmates upstairs and a certain amount of inmates downstairs, and they split them in two. So only half of those 70 inmates, you deal with them for 3 hours, then you lock them down, and then the other half, they come out. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm dealing with all 70 inmates all at one time. The only time I have to deal with all of them all at once is when we're doing child time, which means, that's when they're eating, when they're being served their trays. That's the only time I have to deal with all of them all together. After they done had their child, I'll say child usually is what, for 35 to 45 minutes. After all the inmates have had their child, I lock them back down and I let them go back to their cells, and I lock them down for the rest of the evening. So other than that, I really don't have any major issues with my profession. Every now and again, you'll get some of these inmates that they'll get out of pocket. They'll try to challenge me because I am a woman. And the majority of these men that are in the correctional facility system, a lot of them, for one, they're not used to authority, which is why they're in prison and why they're in jail in the first place, because they're not used to following the rules. They're not used to respecting the law, respecting authority. And then secondly, it makes it more challenging because I'm a woman. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these inmates, some of these guys, are locked up because they are, and they have been charged with domestic violence. 35. Okay, thank you, Murray. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I deal with I only deal with 35 at a time, so I don't have to deal with all 70 or whatever. So that's the way it works in the system. So a lot of these young men, a lot of these black males, they come up in here. When they see a female officer, they automatically feel some type of way, because a lot of men are not used to getting authority, especially from women. They're not used to that. And then a lot of them are incarcerated because they've been beating on a woman, fighting a woman. So they're used to overpowering women. So when they come inside the facility and they see a 5 foot even female officer, that's giving them instructions, of telling them, you lock down after you have your child, you go to bed, they're not used to that. So they automatically feel some type of way. So these are the type of individuals that I have to deal with. But nevertheless, going into the topic, talking about the birthing the better males, and I realized the big bulk of the problem, the reason why the correctional facilities are so overfilled, is because of the single parents. Just like Beyond just said, most of them come from single parent homes, and that's why I am addressing this particular topic, because this is the issue that we are dealing with. There's a lot of young black males that are entering the correctional facility, and the majority of them were raised by their single mothers. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that most of these young men are troubled because they are raised by single mothers. There's no father in the household, or either the father does want to have an active role in the child's life, but because the mother is bitter or because she's miserable, she would rather take on the role of being a single mom, just so she can intentionally try to make the father's life miserable. But what ends up happening is the child gets affected by it, which is the son. I'm not talking about single mothers with daughters today. I will save that topic for another time. I'm talking about these single mothers with sons, because a lot of these young black men are entering the system, and I see it day in and day out. Now, this happened almost 18 years ago. This is a true story that I'm getting ready to tell y'all about. I'm not making this up. This actually happened. It was 18 years ago. I remember when my daughter was in the second grade, and I used to walk her every morning to the school bus. Used to walk her to the bus stop. The duplex I was living in during that time was low income. So the majority of the residents that lived there was single mothers. Now, we all would meet up at the bus stop every morning with our kids talking and everything. This particular day, my daughter got off the school bus and she appeared to be troubled, like something had happened to her on the bus. So I asked Rissa what was wrong. And she told me a little boy by the name of Isaiah kept hitting on her on the bus. So I knew something was definitely wrong because this wasn't like Rissa to be a crybaby. And she never was the type of kid that that wouldn't stand up for herself. So because I taught her how to do that. So for her to allow this kid to hit her, I knew she had to really be afraid of him. Um, Lost my train of thought. I knew she had to be afraid of him, but this is nothing new. You know, kids hit each other, but we as the parents have to address it once it has been brought to our attention. So I saw Isaiah's mother, her name was Mary, the next day. I politely pulled her aside and I mentioned to her that Isaiah had been hitting my daughter. Now, I should have known the nappy headed and desperate need of a perm due to over new growth alligator dry skin hood rat was not going to be civil. This chick had the audacity to say to me, well, ain't no telling what she been doing to him. Now, that's what she told me when I told her her son had been hitting my daughter. Now, I know my daughter was far from innocent, but I expected her to say, I will make sure he keeps his hands to himself as long as they both keep their hands to themselves. She didn't make this little boy take no accountability, okay? She automatically blamed my daughter. Even the other mothers felt some type of way when she made that comment. So as she walked away, two of the women approached me and said, now you were being a real mother. At least you came to her and you tried to talk with her about it. This broad, just based on her appearance, displayed the very typical stereotype that Black men have been preaching about Black women for years. We take no accountability for anything. What's up, Dion? In this case, she took no accountability for her son's actions. So I spoke with my husband about it, and he said, won't you just drive our daughter to school? You have your own car. Bristol doesn't have to ride the bus. Why even go through all of that? The only reason why I was taking the bus because I was too lazy to drive her every single day. But I said, you know what? As long as I'm driving her every day, I know my child will be safe. So I started driving my own child to school. Okay. I took off the school bus. I said, I'm not going through that no more. Let me tell y'all what happened. What's up, Sassy? A few months later, it was brought back to my attention that Isaiah, the same little boy who was hitting my daughter, he ended up getting put off the school bus. And she had to walk him the rest of the school year. So apparently her son still had behavioral issues because he started hitting other people's kids on the bus. So she finally put him off the bus. Isaiah finally got put off the bus. Let me tell you what this helper did, y'all. I saw her walking one day with the little boy, Isaiah, and she caught me as I was driving my daughter to school. She asked me if I would mind taking her and Isaiah to school. She asked me if I would mind taking Isaiah to school since I was dropping Rissa off. And you know, I politely told her ass, hell no. Because if your son hit my child in my car, I would be flinging his little badass in the Savannah River. So anyhow, I saw her having to walk this little boy in rainy weather, cold weather, stormy weather almost every day. See, that's why you have to be careful how you treat people. You never know when you might need them. So much to my surprise, working here in corrections, because I told y'all I work in a correctional facility now. We have a booking website on the portal that shows us every defendant that is arrested. And how about there he was, little Isaiah, no longer the badass little boy, but an 18-year-old man that now has a criminal record. So this same little boy that had hit my child on the school bus, and his mother sit up there and condone his behavior. Now this young little boy has now become a full-grown man who now has become captive to the law. When I looked up his charges, this was his charges. He had theft by taking, possession of firearm and knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, receipt or possession or transport of firearm by convicted felon or first felon offender, theft of lost mislaid property, carrying a weapon without a valid license, obstruction, and driving with a suspended license. This is just one of many cases in which a single mother has created a better male. This young man, this story I just told y'all, is a fine example of single mothers breathing a better male. There are far too many single mothers with sons that are slowly stripping away these young men's masculinity. When I saw this young man's mugshot, I was not surprised. I don't know how many of y'all have ever seen a troubled child at a young age and you just knew that it was going to continue to get worse as he got older. You know, you can see somebody's child at 2, 3 years old. You can see that child is off the chain. You can see that child has disciplinary issues. You can see it already just at the age of 2, 3 years old. You can see they're going to be a recipe for disaster. And yet their own parent, these single mothers, they act like they don't have a sixth sense when it comes to their children. They cannot tell when their child is heading for trouble. I don't understand why we as mothers are not using our motherly intuition. You cannot tell when your child is getting ready to become a troubled individual to society. I don't get it with us as black women, as mothers, that you cannot look at your child and tell that your child is off the chain and has behavioral issues. I don't get it. I have seen all too often young black males become raised by toxic, ignorant single mothers only to become a menace to society. If she allowed Isaiah to get away with one incident of hitting my daughter, and he was only 7 at the time, I could only imagine how much more he was able to get away with over the years since then. I could only imagine. Because she didn't teach her son how to deal with authority, now he has to be under the authority of the law. And this is what a lot of you parents are not understanding. You do not give your children structure, you do not give them authority. Guess what? They're going to end up under somebody else's authority, which is the law. They're going to end up coming to us, and guess what? I'm going to have authority over your son's life once he enters inside the correctional facility jail where I work. He may follow your rules, but he's damn sure going to follow my rules when he comes into my correctional facility. What's up, Ask a Classy Black Man? Good to see you. Because she did not teach her son how to deal with authority, now he has to be under authority of the law. She saw her son was off the chain at 6 or 7 years old, and now he has grown from an angry little boy to a rebellious grown-ass man. I find it ironic how many of these toxic single mothers don't want anyone telling their children what to do, only end up having the children to be told what to do once they fall into the hands of the criminal justice system. You don't want, I've seen this 1,000 times. I've seen women, single mothers, get offended when you tell them about their own children. A single mother is not going to let you tell her that her child has problems. She ain't trying to hear it. She's not going to hear it. These toxic single mothers tend to condone their sons' bad behavior and make excuses for them. When I told this woman, when this little boy was 6 years old, I told her son has a problem with keeping his hands to himself. He was at 6 years old. doing that. And her being the typical stereotype of strag type of female, she totally disregarded that. She saw the signs that her son was off the chain and had disciplinary problems. This is how better males are created. And it all begins for how the mothers raised them. It is our fault that these young men come into this world with disciplinary problems. Young men learn from the beginning of time there are no penalties for their behavior. When a young black male at the age of 5 is allowed to get away with throwing tantrums, when he can't have his way or acting out in public, only to get rewarded for their bad behavior, this creates better man-child syndrome. That's what this creates. For instance, I was in Walmart the other day, and I saw this 3-year-old little boy screaming to the top of his lungs. He was screaming so loud, I felt my ovaries vibrate. That's how loud he was screaming. All of the customers, as I was walking through, kept shaking their heads and rolling their eyes at his ear-piercing screams. I almost thought he was a little girl. He was louder than a siren on a fire truck. I ran into her a few more times inside Walmart as I circled the aisle, and he was still screaming to the top of his lungs. She looked hopeless. She had a bonnet on her head. She was sloppy. She was a little on the sloppy side as far as her shape, and she just looked as if she had no care in the world. She was so unbothered by his screaming and crying. He wasn't just screaming; he was literally crying severely. Tears was pouring down his face like the Mississippi River. I would say another 20 minutes, he all of a sudden he stopped crying. I noticed that this time he had a small super soaker or water gun in his hand playing with it. So basically, she was only able to get him to stop crying because she rewarded his tantrum by giving him something just so he could keep his mouth closed. She's already creating him to be a better man child. She's sending him signals already that all you have to do is act out, scream, and cry, and you'll get what you want. She's already teaching her son at the age of 2, 3 years old. She's already teaching him. When he was screaming and crying and hollering to the top of his lungs like that, I would have took that little joker in the men's and female in the woman's bathroom. I would have laid it on him. I would have towed his behind up. I wouldn't have gave him no toy for him to sit down and be so he could be quiet. I would have either took him in the bathroom or I would have took him out to my car and I would have towed his behind up. Because you can't hit your kids all kind of way in public. People get on YouTube, defects coming to your house, so you cannot spank your kids in public all kind of way. You just can't do it no more. She basically gave that little joker a toy. Not understanding, she's sending him the wrong message. She's setting the tone for every woman that will come into this child's life as he becomes a man. This is one of the reasons that some women can't find a good man because mama has created him to be a better man child. Now he will become one of those grown ass men that's going to expect a woman to cater to him no matter what he does. And this is the reason why a lot of women out here are struggling trying to find a good man or a grown man that handles his business because he has been enabled from a toxic single mother. He has been taught not to embrace his masculinity. There are far too many unstable single mothers that are having sons and creating them to be a menace to society, all because they don't want their precious little boy learning how to take accountability for his actions as he becomes a full-grown man. And a lot of us as black single mothers, we have created monsters. Jails and prisons across America have a high population of better man-child individuals. In my line of work, I see the childish ways of grown men almost every day. These inmates lie like children. They manipulate like children. They cry like children when they can't have their way. They are as demanding as spoiled as toddlers. They hate discipline and they despise authority. As much as all of these inmates hate authority, ironically, they don't mind putting themselves in situations that cause them to have to submit authority. I hear about I feel you, Pan. And sometimes as parents, you got to take a chance and you got to whip it behind in public. But this is what I deal with in my line of work. I see these grown men complain about jail every damn day. They complain about the food. They complain about the rules. They get mad. What's up, E. Alice? Good morning. These grown men get mad when you tell them they got to get off the phone at a certain time. They get mad when you tell them they got to lock down. It's grown men who act like children in prison when you give them instructions and tell them what to do. They can't stand authority, but the crazy part is they would not do anything that will avoid them from having to enter jail or prison to have to be under somebody's authority. If you enjoy your freedom and you enjoy having the luxury of being able to do what you want to do as you want to do it, then stop committing crime and offenses that cause you to have to get incarcerated where somebody has to have authority over you. It's as simple as that. Exactly, as a classic black man. Yeah, those would be the main ones. They wouldn't even want, the father or whatever to have involvement in the child's life. This is what we deal with. It's a lot of better males that have fall prey to the correctional facility system, all because they're toxic single moms did not teach them accountability. A lot of unstable women with children are stunting the growth of young black men by enabling their sons' bad behavior from a youth. There's a woman I know by the name of Cynthia, mother of 5, who had recently lost her husband through an ugly divorce. Her children had become accustomed to having both parents, so their divorce had changed the dynamics that the children were used to. Her oldest son, Robert Jr., had derailed completely after the divorce. When Robert Jr. was a toddler, she had him dressed up as a thug with the little gold chain, designer label newborn clothes. He was wearing Sean John or at the age of only 2-3 months old and brand new Jordans. So even as a newborn, this young man was given a false sense of entitlement. But as he became older, his mother couldn't afford to keep that materialistic lifestyle. The older a child becomes, the more expensive it becomes to take care of them. So now at the age of 12 and 13, he's expecting his mother to still accommodate him with that lifestyle. That's why I tell folks, don't start your children with expensive name brands, because if something were to happen, you lose your job, you have a divorce, if you cannot maintain that lifestyle, they will rob, steal, or envy other children who have what they can't afford to get. She always bragged about her son at a young age, calling him sexy, and constantly bragged about how handsome he was. The truth was, she still had feelings for his father. So, because her son favored him significantly, she became infatuated with her son's looks. Even though he started displaying more and more signs that he was getting out of hand by constantly getting kicked out of school, teachers calling and complaining, he got his first few charges with the juvenile court. All of these signs was that this young man was headed for trouble. But she was the type of mother that no one could tell her anything about her children. There's a lot of toxic single mothers that refuse to accept criticism. They refuse to accept criticism. Something about telling a woman her child has issues is like telling her that she's not doing a good job as a mother. So the defense mechanism comes on strong. What's up, Marty W? Something about you cannot tell a single mother that something is wrong with her child. she's automatically going to feel some type of way like you don't know what you're talking about. I know how I raised my son. I know I'm a good mother. A single mother, they are the first to get offended. You cannot tell them that their child has disciplinary issues. So over time, he became so far out of hand, she no longer wanted to deal with him. Now, keep in mind, this particular woman, what ended up happening was her child got so far out of hand to the point she couldn't do nothing with him no more. And that's usually what happens, ladies. To all you single mothers out here, if you know your child, if people are telling you your son is off the chain, you're seeing he's constantly in and out of trouble in school, he's constantly getting suspended from school, he's constantly getting kicked out of school, he's already ended up in juvenile, been in juvenile a couple of times, and all of that. You see the signs that your son is troubled. You see the signs that your son is a recipe for disaster. You see all of those signs and you do nothing about it. You sit up here, you let your son disrespect authority, you let your son disrespect police officers, you let your son disrespect teachers, you let your son disrespect all type of authority, and you think that shit not gonna come back on you. You think that same son that you allowed to disrespect other people, you think he's not going to turn around and disrespect you? If you really think that, you are mentally challenged, because that's usually what happens, ladies and gentlemen. When you let your son or your daughter, but today we're talking about sons, but if you let your son or your daughter get away with disrespecting authority, them same jokers are going to turn around and disrespect you. If I seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. You're going to have to answer the karma. You sit up here and you let your children get away with disrespecting other adults. It's going to come back on you. It's going to happen. So this is what happened, y'all. She finally got to the point where her son finally started disrespecting her. She got rid of the monster she created once he became too much for her to handle. Although she had been forewarned numerous times, she's seen numerous signs that her son was out of control. People kept telling her, your son has problems. Your son is hard-headed. Your son has behavioral issues. Being a typical toxic single black mother, she disregarded all of that until he became her problem. So this is what happened, y'all, and it's a true story. She ended up putting him out her house, and she left him on the streets. She created this monster, but what happens is there's a lot of single mothers, they will create a monster. And when the monster becomes too big, they get rid of the monster. She ended up putting this young man at her house. He became a father at the age of 15, getting into all kind of trouble in and out with the law. Then he ended up talking to her all kind of way. Her own son ended up raising up on her. And this is what happens, black mothers, to the black single moms. If you got a son out there, you allow him to have no respect for authority, eventually he's going to raise up on you. He'll raise up on you and start handling you all kind of way. Some of these sons, your sons will act like he your damn husband. He'll tell you what to damn do. He will tell you, I'm not taking out no trash. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that, because you thought it was cute and acceptable to let your son get away with not having no respect for authority. By that time, it's too late. Send him to the military if he isn't too disturbed. Yep, but he was far gone, E. Alice. He was far gone. There was no sending him to the military. She had what's the word? She ruined him. She ruined her son. She ruined him because she enabled his bad behavior for years. There was no getting through to this young man anymore. It was done. What's up, Rep? I know, long time no see. Yeah, I got to randomly do my little videos because I don't be having time anymore because of the type of profession I'm doing. I just do not have the time I used to have. So, y'all got to kind of catch me whenever y'all can at this point until my schedule gets a little bit better. But this what happened. She put her son out the house because, again, she created this monster. She created him to be disrespectful, to not take accountability for his actions. So she got rid of him. She put him out her house and she left him on the streets. So then he became society's problem. Ignoring all of this young man's behavior, it led him to becoming a father at the age of 15. And now he's facing life in prison for his first murder rap. He took all that anger and aggression out on another young man in the streets and he killed him. So now this young man is 16 years old, never been in prison in a day of his life. Because you have some of these children, they can go for years and never commit a crime. Some of these sons could go for years and never commit a crime. And by the time they do commit a crime, usually their first crime is the most heinous act. So when he finally did commit a major crime, his major offense was murder. So now his life is gone. This young man is in prison right now as we speak, all because he had a single mother that was toxic. She was in denial. She saw her son headed for trouble, and she did nothing about it. He was already doomed from the womb. And if I could show you a picture of his mother, you will know instantly he was in trouble. If I could show you a picture of how she looks, you will be able to look at her, and she is the epitome of black female fuckery. She would represent female fuckery. She would be the perfect mascot. She's a plus size, got tats, tattoos all over her body. Her whole body looks like a goddamn GPS map, because that's how many tattoos she has all over her body. Yeah, GPS tracker. Her body looks like a whole GPS tracker. Okay, that's how many tattoos she has. She has piercings all over her face. And all she does is she gets on Facebook all day talking about how bad she wants to get laid, how much dick she wants, and all of this other stuff, and how big girls are winning. This is the kind of stuff she does. And her son is in jail for life. And she has no care in the world. None. That her son took another young man's life, and the young man's life that he took was a young man who actually was trying to become something. The young man that he killed came from a two-parent home, okay? The young man was on the football team. Her son ain't had none of that going for him, and he took the life of another young man. And basically what happened was him and this young man had a simple verbal altercation. And he was so angry, he had to take the gun out and shoot this young man, shot him right there in the parking lot. Took a whole nother young man's life. And now his life is gone. He can't even be a father to the child that he created because he's in jail. He's in prison for life. And this is what happens when you sit up here and you create these monsters. So, again, it's far too many single, toxic, unstable mothers that are leaving their sons on society because they don't want to deal with the monster they created. In many instances, some of these women spitefully don't allow these young men to have a relationship with their fathers. As soon as that, so the son will most likely adopt the majority of his mother's feminine emotions. Easy to get angry, easy to can't handle rejection. Murder because his envy and hopelessness and pent up emotions. Absolutely, E. Alice. That is exactly what happened. This young man had nothing going for him. Okay, so the moment he saw this other young man who was well dressed, come from a well-rounded family, he already was angry with this other young black man. And this is the reason why the violence amongst black men, amongst young black men under the age of 18, under the age of 23, is so high, is because another black man can easily become envious of another black man. He sees this young man got a nice car. He sees this young man is well dressed. It's a lot of young black men out here that are struggling. They don't have nice things because these single mothers, when their children become a certain age, they no longer buy them these expensive Jordans. They no longer buy them these expensive shoes because now they cannot afford to maintain that lifestyle. Now, when he was a newborn, you was putting all type of Jordans and stuff on, all this expensive stuff on him. Then when this little boy, your son, gets out of hand and gets off the chain, you put him out your house. So you put your son out here in the world angry. You put him out here angry. So somebody else's son who had nothing to do with this young man being troubled had to pay the price because he took his anger and frustration out on another young black man that had nothing to do with his life being fucked up. It had everything to do with his mother making his life messed up. Because it's too many of us as black women, we keep having children, but we're not raising them. And there is a difference between having children and raising them. And the problem with my sisters, the problem with us as black women, we really think we have power with the vagina because we can get pregnant year to year, back to back to back. But what you're not realizing is you're birthing a new breed of toxic children into the society. Classy black man says, she said, put a roof over his head. If he ain't figured out life, that's his fault. I'm done with him. Exactly. What's up, Aaron? This is what happens. We keep having children, ladies. To all my sisters, you keep having children, but you're not raising them. You're not teaching them anything. You're not training them anything. That young man, he should have had himself a job. But the stuff y'all be doing, y'all don't see nothing wrong with it, and you wonder why we have so many problems with our black children. As a black woman, you don't need to be sitting up here telling your son how fine he is, how sexy he is. First of all, that sounds incestuous to me. When you sit up there and you talk to your sons and you treat your sons like they're grown men, they're going to handle you like they're grown men. But the problem is they're going to handle you like you're grown men with the little boy mentality. And that's what she did. She was stroking her son's ego at the age of 9, 10, and 11 by telling him how fine and how sexy and how handsome he is. She told him that. So now, once he gets to 14 and 15, you got this young man cocky and arrogant, thinking that he's God's gift to women. What's up, Ernest? Kwame? So I forced my little cousin to wear dress shoes. Exactly. The women are not capable of teaching the man who problem. And I preach that a lot, Mark by Smith. That is the problem. We as black women who are single mothers, we are creating our sons to be better males because we are giving them all of our feminine attributes. They are learning to be overly emotional, like black women. They are learning to get easily offended like black women. A lot of us as black women, we are raising our black sons to have the emotions of black women. If there's not a man in the house to give him that masculine authority, this is what's going to happen. We're creating better males. So with that being said, these are the things that mothers need to do to avoid creating a man child. These are the things that we would need to do. First thing is, stop rewarding or enabling bad behavior. We need to stop doing that. If you see your son is out here doing things that are immoral and unethical, stop praising him for it. For instance, if your son under the age of 18 is around here impregnating other young women, and you're up here praising him for it, and you're acting like you're so proud to be a grandmother. You're so proud that he's out here sticking his penis in all kind of young females and making himself a father, and you're praising him for it. Do you not realize that you are enabling bad behavior? You are rewarding bad behavior. Your son is out here selling drugs. Your son is out here, beating on females, and you up here, you know what's going on. You're not saying nothing about it. You're not addressing him about it. You are enabling bad behavior. Councilor Murray says they raise black boys like they raise pit bulls. Once they get big and out of control, they release them. Yes, 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 yes. Y'all preaching in here today. That's that's the point that I was trying to make, Murray. That's the truth. They create their sons to be goddamn pit bulls. And once the pit bull gets to growling too much, once the pit bull start biting you and you're supposed to be the owner, now you want to release the pit bull out the yard and out into society. And that's the God's honest truth. It's a lot of us as black single mothers, we are creating our sons to be pit bulls. And then you throw them out there. They become another woman's nightmare, or they become a burden to the correctional facility system. These young men, I have to deal with these young men when they enter inside of my jail. They come in here with attitudes. They come in here with tantrums. They don't like authority because they never had authority. This is what the correctional facility has to deal with. People like to give law enforcement a lot of heat. People like to give officers a lot of heat, but they don't understand all of what we have to go through behind closed doors, what we have to deal with. Next thing is, allow your son to have a solid relationship with his father to keep his masculinity balanced. A lot of us as women need to get up off of our high horse. We need to stop drinking that brew of bitterness and allow our sons to have a relationship with their fathers, because the truth is we cannot raise our sons to be men. We can't. I don't care how much Jordans you buy him. I don't care how much of the newest clothes or whatever it is you think that's going to compensate for masculinity. You have to allow these young men to have a relationship with their fathers. If you don't do that, you're basically what a lot of us as women have to understand is that we strip our sons from their masculine identity when we don't allow them to have a connection with their father, because only his dad could relate to him. Only his father can prepare him for the battles that he's going to have to face as a black man out here in a cruel world. We as black women, we cannot relate to the struggle of black men no more than black men could relate to the struggle of us as black women. That is the problem. As long as you allow your bitterness because you worried about your baby daddy with his new wife, or you mad because you're not getting the child support you want, or you're trying to spitefully ruin his life by depriving him of his son, just realize, ladies, that you're going to have to deal with what's called karma. And the moment your son starts raising up on you or giving you hell, now you want to call a father to step in and intervene. Damage is already done. And it's not fair that we only want these men to be a part of our child's life when it comes to them making payments or putting money on the books, or if we tied our kids, now we want the father to intervene. You don't let this joker get away with disrespecting you for almost 3 to 5 years. Now you think the father could come into his life and change it over 1 month? That's a special kind of stupidity, sis. You allow that man to be in that child's life from day one. You don't wait till a child, your son, gets so far out of hand. He been a hellion for 3 years, and you think the father's supposed to come into his life and change it in 3 weeks. It does not go that way. And the part that pisses me off is these same black women, not all, if it doesn't apply, you don't have to reply. Some of these black women, they will sit up here and lie and say the fathers ain't shit. They will lie and discredit these men when the truth of the matter is it's your fault because you would not allow him to be a part of his father's life. Or by the time you did want the father to step in, he can't do nothing with him. It's too far gone. And I will tell you men something. To all of you fathers out here, if your son has been off the chain for 4 or 5 years and she's never allowed you to discipline him, she's never allowed you to father him, don't you dare up and jump and run to her rescue as soon as this joker starts slapping her and knocking her down. Don't you dare run to her rescue, because she did not allow you to have an active role in this young man's life. And it's not fair for you to run to her rescue. You jack him up, now you manhandling him for how he mistreating his mama. No, she allowed that. Don't you dare try to run to her rescue now that this joker done got out of control. That's not fair to you, and that's not fair to him. So the next thing is, don't stroke a young man's ego like he's a grown man. A lot of us as Black women, we are doing this. Stop telling your son he's fine. Stop telling your son he's sexy. Stop telling your son, calling him boo thing, giving him pet names like he's your man. He's your son. He's not your man. That's not your man crush Monday. He is your son. You treat your son like your man, he's going to act like he's your man. And that's why a lot of you, when you do want a relationship, you do want a man of your own, and you get involved and a man gets involved in your life, he wants to date you, your son is not going to accept this man because he has always been your man. He would never accept another man fathering him. He won't even accept his own father because you have always made him your man, your hubson. Yep, they call them son husbands and husbands. I call them hubsons. That's what they do. Because they don't have a husband, they use their son to fulfill that void. But the dangerous part about that is if you make your son your man, he will act like he's your man. Stop doing that. And something is mentally wrong with the woman who thinks her son is, she's looking at her son like he's a man that she can lust for. Something is definitely wrong with that picture. The next thing is, you have to the women out here, to you single mothers, you have the power to make your son another woman's blessing or another woman's burden. It's a lot of us as single mothers, y'all have made y'all sons another woman's nightmare because you have enabled this young man. You made him think he's God's gift to women by telling him how fine he is, by telling him how sexy he is. You done made your husband another woman's nightmare because you have always catered to him. He's been staying up under your roof over the age of 24. You cooking for him, you washing his drawers, you still catering to him. You think he's not going to leave outside your household and he's not going to expect another woman to do the same thing? You have not made him responsible for nothing. Your grown-ass son don't even take out the trash. He don't mow the lawn. He don't do nothing. You have let this young man just lay up on you all these years. What you think he gonna do when he get out there in the world and he start meeting women? He's gonna want to lay on her sofa. He's not gonna want to take out her trash. He's not gonna do his part as a man because, again, to all of us single moms, and I'm not a single mother, but I'm speaking in terms because I am a mother. But this is the truth of the matter. You can create your son to be another woman's nightmare, depending on how you raise him. Next thing, if you notice he has extreme anger issues or he's constantly having temper tantrums, please seek psychiatric help immediately. If you see your son has anger issues, he's punching walls, he's beating up on his siblings, he's doing all type of things out of character, you need to get him some professional counseling. Don't sit up here and disregard it and say, oh, well, he's just being a boy. Boys being boys. The last mother who said The last woman I know who made that statement, the last woman I heard who said, "Oh, boys are going to be boys." When she said that, he turned around and he molested somebody else's child. So, and now he's in jail he's been in prison for 10 years. He's about to come out as a lifetime registered sex offender. So be careful by letting go of all type of behavior, all because you want to prove a point that uh boys are just boys. That's your way of not having to accept accountability. That's your way of not having to teach him. When you get that attitude that boys will be boys and you let him throw tantrums, you let him beat up on people, you let him take his aggression out in the wrong ways, what's going to happen is you're creating a better male. You're creating a man that's going to become a menace to society, because basically he's been instilled with a lot of anger issues. And this is another issue. Stop allowing him to be the man of the house. Too many of us as black women that are single mothers, y'all are letting y'all sons be the man of the house. A lot of them are not equipped to be a man of the house. You want to teach him how to be responsible? He needs to take out the trash. He needs to mow the lawn. Yes, that's one thing. But when you up here letting your son dominate, and he's up here making decisions for the household, telling you what kind of man you can have move in with you, what kind of man you can't. I've seen women lose good relationships because they sons have ran the show too long, being the men of the house. I've witnessed that. I've witnessed good guys that walked away from women because they were like, I'm not about to be with her. Her son runs her life. Her son tells her what to do. Her son, she has no authority over him. When you sit up there and you make your son the man of the house, and now you got another man or a new man in your life, he's not going to accept him. He's less likely to be acceptable of it because you have allowed him to run the show for too long. So, ladies, stop allowing your sons to be the man of the house. They're not the man of the house. Stop allowing it. Last but not least, he's your son, not your husband. A lot of us as women, we have basically put ourselves in a position to where it's hard for us to get a relationship because we got too much baggage, or either we got too much attitude, we have too much difficult difficult things going on with us, to the point to where it's not too many men that are finding us dateable or marketable to be with like that. And what's starting to happen is a lot of women are getting to the point to where they are giving up. They're getting frustrated with not being able to get a man, or being able to get a man but not keep a man. So what's starting to happen is a lot of women are substituting their husbands for sons. They are allowing their sons to pretty much fulfill the void of them not being able to have a husband. And this is dangerous to do because sooner or later, either he's gonna disrespect his authority, disrespect your authority, or eventually he's going to get a girlfriend of his own. Eventually, he may even get a wife of his own. And because you have always enabled him to do whatever he wants to do, he gets with this woman. He may allow his new woman to run his life, to the point the new woman is running him and running you. So I've seen a couple of women who has done that. A lot of women who have sons, they allowed their sons to fulfill the void of being a husband. Now here it is, the son done moved on. He got a wife, he got a girlfriend. Now you by yourself because he got to live a life of his own. You thought making him your husband was going to keep him in your life for a lifetime. No, eventually your son going to want a woman of his own. Your son eventually is going to get out there and he's going to end up having his own life. So it's dangerous to make your son your husband, to make him your everything, because eventually he's going to have a life of his own. And if you have made your life revolve around him, basically, you're not going to be able to survive without him when he moves on or he moves out of your household. So you have to be careful with that. So anyway, y'all, this is the reason why I did this topic, the better man child syndrome created by toxic single mothers. I thought it was imperative that we speak on this is because there's too many young black men that are falling prey to the system. Like I say, I see it in my line of work day in and day out. Every time you turn around, you see these young men that are entering inside this correctional facility. A lot of them are being raised by their single mothers. And I find it very ironic that these same mothers that will sit up here and raise hell about their sons. When their sons get locked up in jail, they never come to visit them. They never come to see them. They never put money on the books. A lot of these single mothers who claim to be hell raisers, who act like they're hell raisers for their sons, the crazy part is, y'all, when their sons get locked up, they have nothing to do with their sons. Nothing. These young men get locked up. These single mamas who act like they're so crazy about their children, these young women, they have nothing. These mothers, they will have nothing to do with their sons. Once their sons get locked up, they don't come out there to visit them. They don't come out there to put money on the books. They leave their sons out to dry, which makes these sons even more angry when they get locked up, even more angry when they get incarcerated. Like I told y'all before about the young lady, I said whose son at the age of 15 years old, he committed his first murder offense. He's serving life now. His mother has not put $2 on the books since he's been locked up. He's been locked up for 2 years. She won't put no money on his books. She won't come out there to visit him. She has nothing to do with him. She does not even have anything to do with the child he had with another young lady since, before he got locked up. She is not there for him at all. And I find it very ironic how a lot of these single moms will raise hell about their sons, but as soon as their sons get in some trouble, they ain't there for them like that. I've seen it 1,000 times. A lot of these single mothers who claim they love their children so much, soon as their children get in some deep mess, they ain't there for them. They leave their kids to fend for themselves. And this is the reason why a lot of these young men, when they be in the jail system and they be locked up, they be lashing out, they be fighting other inmates and getting all kind of trouble in jail because they have no support. Once they get locked up, they mothers pretty much just walk away from them. They leave them out there to dry, And I think it's very sad that a lot of us as single mothers, a lot of us as black women who are single mothers, we know we are the reason our sons are have fallen prey to the system. And once these young men get locked up and incarcerated, we don't keep up with them. We don't call them. We don't accept their calls. We don't put money on their books so we can try to encourage them while they're incarcerated. A lot of y'all know y'all got sons locked up in prison because of y'all neglect, because of y'all failing to teach them anything. And when these young men get locked up, y'all leave them out there on their own. Y'all don't come to visit them. Y'all don't check on them. Y'all don't put money on the books to make sure they're all right. It's just really, really, really sad. The level that we have stooped as, black women that are mothers. We just don't care about our children. Once they get left out there in the world, we leave them out there. So anyway, y'all, this has been a very um long-winded topic. And it's really, really sad. What's up, Reg? How's it going? Marty says, but if their sons make the NFL, they'll be there acting like they threw the ball to them every time, every day after school, when that wasn't the case. They feel like they have no value because no father figure, and the only person they feel love them, which is their mama, abandoned them. That is so sad. That is the truth. And I'm telling y'all, that's why I had to speak on this topic, because a lot of us as black mothers, and especially these toxic single black mothers. Now, notice I said toxic single black mothers. That's not the same as saying single mothers, because you got some single mothers out there, they don't play that mess. Their kids are in college. They make sure their sons are being productive young men to society. My mom was a single mother, and none of my brothers have ever been in prison, a jail a jail a day in their life. But also, my mother allowed our fathers to be in our lives also. So that's another thing. But you're absolutely right. Marty and Pan, that is the truth. We create these monsters. We create our sons. We fail our sons because we have made them mama's boys. We have made them man child. And when these young men get locked up, these mothers have nothing to do with them. Nothing. They do not have nothing to do with their sons. When their sons was out of jail, oh, that's my boo. That's my man crush Monday. They want to put their sons on the pedestal. But as soon as these young men get in bad situations because their single mothers cannot raise them how to be a man, and they adopt all their single mothers' feminine emotions, these young men get out into the world and they start getting in all kind of chaotic situations to where they end up falling prey to the law, and they end up in jail, they end up in the prisons and all of that. These single mothers, they won't see them. I'm telling y'all what I know. I see it all day long. I know about 3 or 4 single mothers that I can name on my finger who used to sit there and brag and praise when their son was out there doing all kind of dirty stuff. And as soon as these young men got locked up, they won't do nothing for them. Nothing. Bridget says, what's up, Bridget? Wow, you are hitting home with some real truth. My husband is having these same problems with his 18-year-old daughter. Thank you for confirming what I already thought. Yeah, exactly. And it's the same way with daughters. I was predominantly talking about black sons, but it's the same way with black daughters. Again, some of these black single women, some of these black single mothers, they have created their children to be monsters. They have enabled a lot of bad behavior, and what tends to happen as these children become older, that bad behavior manifests. They'll go from badass little children to badass grown adults. It never stops. It continues to keep progressing. It progresses. It never ends. Basically, that's what I'm saying. They only take credit for their son's success, not their failure. Yeah, exactly. And that's true, because again, that same lady who left her son out there to dry, to where he ended up taking the life of another young man when he was doing good, when he had his first little job, when he called himself being an ROTC, she wanted to post that all over Facebook and make it a big deal. Soon as he was doing something good, oh, she wanted to take credit for that. But now that he's locked up in prison and serving life, oh, she ain't posting that on Facebook though. She ain't telling nobody that now. But when the 1 or 2 times he was doing something good or whatever, she made that a big deal. She wanted to take credit for it. But now he in prison for murder for life. Oh, she don't never want to talk about that. She never talks about that. In fact, she don't talk about her son at all, ladies and gentlemen. It's like her son has become dead to her. She talk about all 4 of her other kids, but she would never talk about him because now she's embarrassed by his actions. She's embarrassed that her son took another young black man's life. She's embarrassed now by his actions. She's embarrassed. So now she doesn't want to acknowledge that. And I find it very shameful that we as black women, as soon as our sons fail us or they don't do something we want, we jump ship. We leave them to fend for themselves. We are wrong for that. You only want to be involved in your child's life as long as it's benefiting you. And as soon as your sons or your daughters fail you, you leave them out to dry. And now you want the fathers to step in and be there. And I will say that I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again for some of you who just now coming in here. If the mother of your child has denied you of being a part of your son or daughter's life for a couple of years, and as soon as your son or your daughter gets off the chain, now they are calling you to get involved. Don't you dare get involved. She left you out the picture all those years. She didn't want you to father that child all those years. And now that this child has gotten away with murder for 4 or 5 years, now she's calling your phone and telling you she needs you to step up and be a father. What, the ham sandwich? You better not. Only thing you can say is, you know what? I will pray for my son. I will pray for my daughter. But at this point, I cannot get involved in their life. You done let this child, our child, become a monster for 4 or 5 years, and you think I can clean it up in 4 weeks or 4 months? Absolutely not. And it's not fair to you. It's not fair for you to step in and be the Mr. Fix-It parent. Now, all of a sudden, because the child is off the chain, she created that monster, and now she don't want to deal with the monster she created. Now she want to pass it on to you. That's a crock of bull. She started it without you. Let her finish it without you. Exactly. So, but anyway, y'all, I just thought this was a topic that needed to be touched upon. Again, as single mothers, we have to be careful breeding better males, making them better males to society. We have to allow our sons to be have an active, involved relationship with their fathers. Again, women, we cannot teach our sons how to be a man. Only a man can teach a man how to be a man. No different than a man cannot teach our daughters how to be a woman. It's our job to teach our daughters how to become a woman. And I'm going to save that topic for another time also, because there's a lot of women out here that are not raising their daughters how to become women. And I think this needs to be addressed. We're teaching our daughters how to be thoughts. We're teaching our daughters how to be strags. We're teaching our daughters how to manipulate men with the weapon between their legs to get what they want. It's a lot of us as mothers. We are failing our daughters as well. So I'm going to definitely be speaking on this also. Again, I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me today. I appreciate the donations. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all the likes, the thumbs up. Again, I appreciate all of the support, but I'm going to get ready to sign off. And again, this is your girl, Lady Mocha. I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always break you off a slice of knowledge. Also, before I get ready to exit the building and go, today's content that I did today, if it doesn't apply, you don't have to reply. Let it fly. Again, I was not referring this content to all single Black mothers, only single Black mothers that are toxic. Again, this has been brought to you by the No Fuckery Zone, promoting knowledge, not garbage. Anybody who wants to donate, you are welcome to cash at me at Diamond Girl. If you want to support my brand, you want to support my channel, I'm also working on a book. So I'm going to be collecting donations so I can start getting my book printed, and I'll tell y'all more about that in due time. Those who would like for me to do content on other things, you're also welcome to email me at cafedayparis79 at yahoo.com. Last but not least, I do sell cable. Yes, I do. If you are tired of paying high prices for your cable provider, your bill is almost $100 a month. Every month you turn around, they add on new fees, they add on new surcharges. They want you to pay all kind of expensive fees for these expensive cable packages. I have 5,000 channels at only $25 a month. You can get live streaming TV for only $25 a month, plus free pay-per-view events. So if anybody's interested in getting cheaper cable, you have to have an Amazon stick and you have to have internet. And I can connect your cable services today for only $25 a month for my Espresso Streams live cable services. So with that being said, everybody, y'all have a wonderful day. This is your girl, Lady Mocha. Take care. Bye.